Tonight, the presidential recount now underway in Michigan. Officials hand counting nearly 5 million ballots after a federal judge ruled the recount must begin immediately. Trump's lead in the state, as you can see, is just shy of 11,000 votes. The other states where recounts are being called for, Wisconsin, Trump's lead there 22,000. Pennsylvania, it is now down to about 47,000, just shy of that. The woman pushing for the recount, Green Party candidate Dr. Jill Stein, standing outside Trump Tower as she vowed to escalate her fight in Pennsylvania to a federal lawsuit urging Trump to let the recounts proceed. Out front now, the 2016 Green Party nominee for president, Jill Stein. And Dr. Stein, thank you for taking the time.
Great to be with you.
So I want to talk about the recount, but first, you were just outside Trump Tower. You were there today. Al Gore, the former vice president, was also at Trump Tower today to talk climate change. He met with Donald Trump. He said that it was a sincere and productive conversation. A few weeks ago at a rally for Hillary Clinton, he said Trump would create a climate catastrophe. Does it trouble you that Al Gore would take a meeting and describe it so positively today?
You know, it doesn't trouble me. I find it strange. I'm not sure I believe it. I don't know what's going on. You know, I am concerned, obviously, about where Donald Trump stands. He's had a very consistent history. He's highly invested, for example, in the Dakota Access Pipeline. Is he going to respect the recent decision not to grant a permit and require an environmental impact study? Yeah, I mean, I think you have to judge Donald Trump by his record, which is very clear, which is rather disastrous. But I have to say, it's not been great under the Democratic Party either. Hillary Clinton, you know, supports fracking. Donald Trump supported coal. Both have been absolutely catastrophic. We should not be building new fracking pipelines and infrastructure either. As far as I'm concerned, they both have a long way to go. And so, I'd like to see Al Gore, for that matter, step up to what we really require, which is 100% renewable energy, clean renewable energy by 2030.
So on the issue of the recount, you have said the president-elect Donald Trump and his campaign are scared and trying to obstruct the recount process. Why do you think that? Why do you think that they're scared?
Well, because they're doing everything they can to stop transparency and accountability. You would think that they would be confident in their victory. You would think that they would support the democratic process. What is wrong with counting the votes? You know, when there's a question about where a ball landed in football or in tennis, you know, we review the tapes and we see where exactly it landed. We should have the capacity to do that in every election. There should be automatic audits of every election, and we should just be getting rid of this very disaster-prone, tamper-prone, hacking-prone electronic touchscreen machines.
Okay, so let me ask you a question about this, though, because the margins of victory here seem very close. If you're a person out there, you watching, you say 10,000 votes, 10,700 votes in Michigan, 5.5 million ballots cast, you immediately say, okay, that makes sense that would be a recount. Jeffrey Toobin, you know, who wrote the book about the recount in Florida in the year 2000, says the most number of votes that will switch is 500 votes. He says there's no way this outcome will change. Are you concerned that you are hurting confidence in the system, especially by people on the left who are upset that Trump won when the results won't change?
Well, let me just say, we saw in Ohio in 2004, after the fact, in a court case, that there were 90,000 votes that were mistakenly read as blank in Toledo, in an African-American, heavily Democratic-leaning district. Those votes were basically blanked out. Had they been counted, there's no question that that would have changed the outcome in Ohio. So it's just not true that only a couple hundred votes here and there change. We don't know, but the purpose here is not to change the outcome. Let me say that the purpose here is to create a process that we can trust. We cannot sweep American cynicism, American distrust. After this very bitter and divisive election, we need to be confident in our voting system that we have counted every vote and respected American voters.
So I hear you, but Donald Trump was under great criticism before, remember at the debate when he said, well, I'll see what the results are before I see if I'll accept them.
Well,
and some people say that's you now. Here's his campaign manager, Kellyanne Conway, yesterday talking to you.
I was asked on this program and many others that will you accept the election results? So the question for Jill Stein and Hillary Clinton and those who just are still in the grief, anger, and denial stages, will you start moving over to acceptance?
Well,
Wouldn't you be incredibly critical of Donald Trump if he was doing this to Hillary Clinton right now?
You know, in my view, we should have recounts whenever there is a very close race.
But we do. We have laws, 0.2%, 0.3,
right,
whatever
but
it is.
We don't have audits, and we're using extremely unreliable voting machines, electronic machines that have been known to miscount or discount tens of thousands of votes at a time. So I was asked throughout the election if there was concern about the credibility and integrity of the vote, would I stand up and call for a recount? And I always said yes. In my view, this should have been done during the Democratic primary when there were real concerns about votes that were stripped from the voter rolls in Brooklyn, hundreds of thousands of votes that were not counted in California. To my mind, that should have been a call for a recount. And I always said in the presidential race, if it fell to me to raise questions and ensure that voters have a voting system we can believe in and that we can trust, I would always step up to the plate and call for a recount. It didn't matter who the winner is. That's the problem with Donald Trump's thinking here. I think there was enormous resonance with his concern that the vote was rigged.
So you'd
but
do
to
this
him,
to you would have done this to Hillary Clinton too?
I would have done this no matter what. If there was doubt about the vote, then we should address that and not just try to sweep it under the rug. The American people are very concerned. We do not have faith in our political system, in the election, in our public institutions. You know, lack of faith is really at a high, all-time high level, whether you're looking at political parties, the judiciary, the Congress, the executive, media for that matter. This is a time, you know, for accountability and for transparency. Let's earn the trust of the American people.
All right, Dr. Stein, thank you very much. I appreciate your time tonight. And next, the breaking news, a mistrial declared in the deadly shooting of an unarmed black man running away from a white police officer. We all saw it on tape, but the jurors say they could not reach a verdict. Why?